Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Tuesday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing awesome out there tonight. Had yourselves a wonderful day, and I do hope everyone's having a great week out there so far. Got you the latest information with Tropical Storm Erin. Erin is still forecast to become a powerful hurricane here in the coming days. So the first thing we'll speak on is current conditions with this system. Check in on it, see how it's doing out here in the Atlantic this evening. We'll go over the latest from the National Hurricane Center. We'll compare all model guidance, and then we'll sort of geek out with you guys for a few minutes and discuss the environmental background of the Atlantic and how it will eventually support Erin to rapidly intensify as it gets into the southwest Atlantic. And then we'll speak on steering currents. Everybody and their brother wants to know where this system is going, so we'll speak on why it could go one way or the other. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling tonight. So let's make sure it's going to work, and it is. We're good to go. So you're probably wondering, where's Tropical Storm Erin in the middle of all this mess? Is it over here? Is it over here? Well, it's actually this right here. And this does not look much different than, say, all this, except all this that I'm circling is a lot larger, right? So that is actually Tropical Storm Erin. So it's popping off. Let's get this long circle off your map here and keep this circle here. It is popping off a little bit of convection. It's indicated by the colors you see on the screen here, and this indicates colder cloud tops, which means we have stronger convection, stronger shower and storm activity. The stronger it is, the taller these updrafts, the taller the updrafts, the more they get, well, further up in the atmosphere, and the colder it gets. And this is indicated by the colors you see on your screen. And I think this is a better example of that right here. You see the reds and the blacks and even some splashes of white embedded in that black here. This indicates some deeper convection, but this is just some tropical energy over here. But, you know, speaking of all this energy here, I do think that this is tugging on Tropical Storm Erin a little bit, sort of making it dip a little bit south. At least it was earlier this afternoon or just earlier today. It maybe was moving more so sort of west-southwest, but right now still, for the most part, just moving in general east to west right now, which is pretty much what it was forecast by model guidance. But this is it. It's not very impressive at all. It's surrounded by a lot of dry air. That was modeled very well. So that's current conditions with the system. And guys, if you're wondering, why do you keep going over the cold cloud tops thing? Because I'm telling you, we're going to see a fantastic example of that here in the coming days when this system inevitably strengthens into a powerful hurricane. So just bear with me. You're going to see what I'm talking about here in the coming days. But the latest from the National Hurricane Center, oops, had that pulled up a little bit too far, but it is a 1006 millibar tropical storm. So it's actually weakened. The millibars has actually went up a little bit. Not surprising. It's surrounded by a lot of deep, dry air. It's moving west at 22 miles per hour, and it's a 45 mile per hour storm right now. So we continue to move and look at the latest cone from the National Hurricane Center. And this is the cone from them. This is just a different way to look at it. This is Zoom Earth. It's free to you guys. It is a fantastic site. You can toggle through it very easily. It's like I said, I say this many times. It's like when you combine Google Maps with the tropics. It's really cool. It shows you all kinds of stuff. Anyways, 45 mile per hour storm forecast to strengthen maybe sometime tomorrow afternoon, but I'd be surprised if it doesn't. 50 mile per hour tropical storm. You can see how it dips south a little bit and then it begins to gain a little bit of latitude. It is right now forecast to become a hurricane around 2 a.m. Friday. Maybe a category 2 hurricane, 100 mile per hour storm by Friday p.m. sometime. And then by Sunday, sort of the tail end of our weekend coming up, it might be a category 3 major hurricane. That's what it's forecast to be right now. But I do think this could become stronger as it continues to curve northwest and then north. And we'll speak on that here in a second. But this is the latest cone. One thing I do want to note is portions of the northern Leeward Islands are in this cone. You got areas of the British Virgin Islands. You guys are on the southern edge of this cone, and Puerto Rico almost is too. So just remember, this isn't the impact zone, guys. This is where the center of the storm could go. Okay, so the center of the storm still potentially can go down here. So just remember that. But let's move past this. Let's go over all model guidance. And we're going to start it off Friday morning. If I do forget to mention any time or like any day or date or anything like that, it's up here. FRI, AUG, obviously August the 15th. So here's our system right here, sneaking up on your screen. The Euro says this is going to be a 1001 millibar storm. So if the Euro is correct, this is still a tropical storm Friday morning. But as we know, The National Hurricane Center thinks this is going to be a hurricane by Friday morning. The Euro says still around a tropical storm. We'll see. But as we continue to move into Saturday morning, it's northeast of the Leeward Islands, which is right here. That millibar is beginning to drop, so it's a 990, which means it's probably like a Category 1 hurricane or something based off this model, the Euro. And then as this continues to make the turn, I do think it might not strengthen a whole lot maybe in the middle of the weekend. We'll see what happens. Maybe a little drier, tries to get in, a little bit of flow aloft in this area. But watch as we start to move into Sunday PM. It goes from, like, Sunday might be a big day of strengthening. Sunday morning, it goes from like 986 millibar low, drops down to the 970s by Sunday night. We wake up Monday morning to a sub 970 millibar Category 2 or 3 hurricane. But it's beginning to turn. It does not hit Puerto Rico. It might bring some outer bands based off this model. Please, when I'm speaking, don't take it as in this is exactly where the hurricane's going to be. This is just a model run, right? But you continue to get into Tuesday of next week, and we get into Tuesday night. So at this point, we're about a week out from right at this second. So this is next Tuesday evening, and this is a powerful 941 millibar major hurricane. And if I had to turn that into a category, I would guess this is at least a Category 4 hurricane. Bermuda's this little speck here, southeast coastline, the Bahamas, Turks, Caicos Islands down here. This is missing everybody. But this will continue to move north, a little bit of an eastward movement to it. It dips down to a 940 millibar hurricane. Bermuda's right here. It's bringing some impacts, but not a direct hit, not even close. And then this thing races off to the north-northeast and still is strengthening. Might become like post-tropical, but regardless, it is a strong storm system. So, of course, we got to show some love to our folks up here in Atlanta, Canada. Here it comes, sneaking up on your screen. And, folks, this makes an actual landfall, it looks like, in the Avalon Peninsula here in Newfoundland as we get into the end of next week. That tells you how long we're still going to be talking about this. This isn't the end of this week. It's the end of next week. Like next Thursday evening brings huge impacts to Newfoundland if this is the way it happens. Let's look at the latest GFS, and we got enough of it to run the entire run just about. So here it comes. GFS has trended much weaker in the shorter term. Has this sneaking in your screen as Friday morning as a 1,004 millibar low. One thing to mention, if it stays weaker for longer, it will be steered more by lower level wind currents and will not feel the tug of the ridge to its north as much to yank it north to feel the weakness. So if this remains weak for too long, it will try to get a little bit further west. But even the GFS begins to strengthen this as soon as it does. It's a 990 millibar low Saturday afternoon. It immediately begins to feel the flow around the ridge on top of it and just to the northeast of it. So as it continues to strengthen, it makes a dramatic turn. And it looks like this is, even going to be east of Bermuda. So we get into Monday morning, August the 18th, and it struggles just making a huge curve really quickly, right? It looks like it just moves straight north, so that gets a little scary for Bermuda, but it still misses Bermuda, actually to the east. The Euro misses it to the west. And this thing's just heading out to sea, and there's no point in even showing you. I will, but it misses Newfoundland. It doesn't even show up on your, well, no, here it comes. I'm sorry. Where is it? Look at that snow showing up on your map. So, yeah, it misses it pretty good, but it looks like it does bring a shield of impacts to the Avalon Peninsula, but the actual center of the storm way offshore, and it looks like it misses. This run does. What about the Euro AI model? Let's see if we have the latest one. We don't. Euro AI model, it's model guides. Let's show it, right? Weaker system initially. And I really think they're going to end up tweaking the cone, peak intensity cone on the National Hurricane Center. I think that they'll make it where it probably doesn't turn into a major hurricane until maybe it begins to make a turn more. Okay, but Euro AI model, Saturday morning, 1,002 millibar low, dips up sub 1,000 north of Puerto Rico and the British Virgin Islands, sneaks it really close to the Turks, Caicos Islands, but it doesn't get there. And then it splits as we're getting into midway next week between Bermuda and the southeast coastline, and then it heads off to the north. And there's another wave right behind it. I don't think we're done, guys. So I am going to start incorporating information about the waves behind this system here in the coming days. So a lot of information coming, and if you look at the latest tropics global hazards map, it shows tropical activity still being in place for the foreseeable future, even after whatever Erin does. So if you look at the latest Euro AI model, it does get it very close to Newfoundland. It's kind of in between the GFS and the Euro, but not as far northwest as the Euro, but brings impacts to southeast Newfoundland. Doesn't even get close to Nova Scotia. And I'm hearing you guys in the comments, I didn't realize the drought was so bad in areas of Atlantic Canada. I know you guys need rain, but hopefully you don't get it in the form of just a destructive hurricane. We don't want that. Latest icon, it's taken that more weaker trend also. Just 1,008 millibar low Friday morning. I mean, that's barely even a tropical storm. So I would not be surprised if this thing continues to struggle through the rest of this work week, and then it really takes off like a rocket as we are getting into, the weekend. So if you look at the latest Euro Ensemble model guidance, this makes up 51 members. It's going to throw all members on your screen. If all 51 members develop something, you're going to see 51 Ls. Please don't think there's 51 hurricanes, but here's the signal coming up on your screen. This is for Saturday, and some of these members are going right into the British Virgin Islands and the Northern Leeward Islands and getting very close to Puerto Rico. And even some are sneaking and bringing a lot of impacts into the Turks Caicos Islands, but the majority of these members are turning pretty fast. And here is the huge spread, though, still with the Euro Ensemble. I mean, that is still a pretty massive spread. Okay, I mean, you got some pretty strong members getting very close. Almost all the members develop into a hurricane, by the way, a strong hurricane. So you keep this going, but you still only have like one or two, I would say at most 4 or 5 members that bring impacts to the southeast coastline. Almost every single member, probably over 90% of them, turn out to sea, and a lot of them don't even hit anywhere in like Atlantic Canada either. So obviously you see I wouldn't even call it a trend. It's not really a trend. The models have really locked in for now to an out to sea scenario. Is that Mitch saying this is going out to sea or staying out to sea, I should say? No. But I will say on the Euro Ensemble, it favors this going between Bermuda and the East Coast. So anytime you got anything going in between both of them, you got to watch it. If it's recurving so much that it gets east of Bermuda, then I mean, hey, it's not going to really bother anybody but the fish out in the ocean, right? So why is it struggling in the short term? Well, it's short term is right now. It's struggling right now. So this is waking up tomorrow morning. It does have a plume of moist air, but I mean, this is what the air looks like, well, feels like in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. So the brown is dry air. The green is moist air. Pretty easy to explain that here, but this is the mid-levels of the atmosphere, and the system's just going it's plowing right into a big area of dry air, so it's just going to struggle. But it does do a really good job of sort of maintaining, it looks like, its actual low-level structure. So if it does that, then it's a ticking time bomb to fire off convection when the environment improves. And that's eventually what it does here. Now, I still think it'll fight some dry air right here, but I do think the upper wind pattern just improves dramatically. So it's able to develop a very moist environment as it gets sort of north of the Leeward Islands. Here comes another wave behind it. This is what I'm talking about. There's more waves behind it. And then this looks like a big plume of moist air too. So we're going to go back and forth between why it blows up in strength and steering currents with this. So this is kind of an elongated ridge of high pressure, sort of structured kind of weird. And it's stretching, like this, like that, and going way up like this. And this is the flow around high pressure, right? This is our tropical system right here. So this little blob that you see. So you can see why, right? That it's moving, east to west. It's following the bottom flank of this ridge. So as it does so, we're going to get this in motion. This is for Thursday morning. Here comes the keep your eyes right here. This ridge is still strong enough to keep this down. There's no real weakness. And then it gets right here as we're getting in, let's just call it the weekend time frame. You can see there's a weakness that develops basically in the ridge. Now, whether this weakness is caused, I think it is, by this little dip right here, this little trough, is probably breaking this ridge somewhat. But regardless, the ridge sort of positions itself back over here, at least the stronger portion of it, and back over here, and a weakness is created right here for this to slip through. So this also, when this is happening, sort of slows up the currents in the upper levels of the atmosphere and allows this to really take off in strength. So it basically creates a very, very low shear environment as sort of a, not a stalling pattern, but a pattern with lack of upper level current sort of occurs right here, right as it's entering just outside the Northeast Caribbean. So this creates an atmosphere that allows it to explode rapidly here. So let's get this back off and let's jump it to right here. Now this is this is Friday morning, our low pressure's here. This is the upper winds. So as it gets right here, the upper wind pattern sort of becomes more favorable for this system. And I would say already Friday, it's already tapping into it right here. You almost got an environment, and in my opinion, it looks like an anticyclonic flow, what we call a ULAC, upper level anticyclone. And at this point, the system gets about right here. And you can see, let's slow it down a little bit. You can see how the system's just really slow right in here. Now, this is only in 3-hour increments, but it's really slow. Right here, it's beginning to turn. It's because there's just a weakness in sort of the upper airflow. So if there's weakness up there, it's not going to move very fast probably as it's turning here. It might slow down a little bit, but it's also able to take off and strengthen. That's exactly what it does. And as we move this a little bit further and it feels that weakness and sort of does this number right here, and kind of goes like this, this system is spinning cyclonically in the low to mid levels of the atmosphere like this. But on top of the system, like above it, air is being dispersed outward. This thing is able to breathe because it has a very low shear environment. So a lot of air is rapidly being dispersed aloft. We call this divergence aloft. And as this is happening, air is coming up through the system. That is forced outward. More air is able to rise. That is forced outward. So basically, the system enters an environment as it makes the turn here in the Southwest Atlantic that would allow for explosive development and strengthening, and it could undergo a period of rapid intensification. You combine that with the sea surface temperatures in this area of the ocean being in the mid to upper 80s, maybe in some areas like around 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and this could just happen to an environment that favors just a rapid pace of strengthening. So you get this off your screen, and this pattern continues. And we jump it back to this, and here it is, finding that kind of slower period. And as we get into, say, Monday morning, it really begins to get north. So what's basically happening here is this system is following the current around this high pressure. So it's kind of broke off, right? Higher pressure over here. We need a better color than that. Higher pressure over here. Higher pressure over here. Flow is still going just like this. Okay. All right. Flow is kind of coming down like this, but it's not really feeling that much. Okay. And I also want to note a big trough digging down to eastern Canada, the Northeast. The flow around this trough is going just like this. So this system basically has an easy weakness to take here between both areas of higher pressure. So there's just a weaker area in the ridge. And I've said this many times before, I don't even think that this high pressure was very strong in the first place. So I don't think it took much to really break it and kind of create a weakness. So this system is able to just escape. And watch what it does as I put this in motion here. If you kind of have two currents working in tandem. So if you kind of go like this and like this is going to allow this to just slingshot like this way. So we get this in motion, you'll see what I'm seeing. You'll see what I'm saying here. Watch how it just bang gets slung up on top of that ridge. So I hope that makes sense. Stronger ridge on top of the system initially, keeping it sort of west to east, right? Okay. Then it sniffs out a weakness here. And I also want to add a stronger system. It's going to try, it's probably going to gain a little bit of latitude. So it doesn't always happen. And, someone made a good point in the comments. We were in a little discussion. He said, a storm system is not normally just going to plow into a high pressure. Totally agree. But a stronger system is going to try to just almost, it's not literally doing this, but it's like testing the limits of a ridge. And it's just going to be basically these stronger storm systems are taller storm systems. So they are going to feel the currents in the upper levels of the atmosphere more. A weaker storm system is going to feel a lower level wind currents more. So that's why if this system was to stay like a weak tropical storm right in here, it would probably drift a little bit more this way. I think inevitably it would turn, but say if it drifted like over here near the Bahamas or something like that, and then finally it took off, it could not escape fast enough, and then ultimately it could bring a lot of impacts to the Carolinas. So here's my take. And listen, Levi from Tropical Tidbits, he is the best out there that talks about the tropics. I've gotten 85% of my knowledge from him. Check out his video. I'm always game for promoting other people's YouTube channels that certainly deserve it. And he's the one that, runs Tropical Tidbits, the site that I use a ton on all my videos. But he explained it well. He basically said, is this a clear shot curve out to sea? He said, well, no. But I don't think he said this word for word, but he made it seem like that this was a pretty good shot to curve out to sea. And that's because there's an obvious clear weakness right here, guys. And with this working in tandem with a strengthening low pressure, a hurricane, I mean, it's going to find that weakness immediately. I mean, that is a glaring weakness in the pattern. I mean, there's some light ridging right here, but I mean, it's heading north. So the only thing, like I just said, that would make this impact, I don't think it's going to sneak in the Gulf. I don't want to say, never to say never, right? But the only thing that could make this sort of get a little bit closer is two things, really. Just model guidance is a complete fail on the ridging situation with this, and that happens. Or either two, like I said, this stays weaker for longer and sort of just drifts too far west, and then it strengthens in this area and then tries to recurve, but by the time it does, it's going to end up at least scraping the East Coast. So hope that makes sense. That's all I got. We'll do another video tomorrow morning. Hey, appreciate the support. Listen, been doing these 2-a-day videos. A lot of support. The video this morning was the biggest video yet since last winter, well, this past winter. So thank you for the support, guys. Not every video is going to be crisp when you're doing 2-a-days like this. It's the reason why my glasses on my eyes. I'm wore out. My eyes are dried out. My contacts are bothering my eyes. I had to go geek mode and put on my glasses. I'm probably going to go to bed like right after this video. But it's one thing that I take a lot of pride in with this video is I like doing 2-a-day videos, especially in the tropics and during the winter time. And I think it's important to get the latest information. And it helps me when I go over all this information. It helps me over time get better and better in explaining it. So hope you guys are enjoying it. God bless all y'all. We'll do it again in the morning, and have a great night. God bless.